You are now listening to theGrio's Black Podcast Network, Black Culture Amplified. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Dear Culture, the podcast for, by, and about the culture. I'm your host, Panama Jackson, and it's 50 years of hip hop. We are celebrating all year long in various form or fashion. We've had people on this podcast. We've had artists. We've had people writing books. We've had all kind of conversations with people about the culture. So today's going to be no different. Our guest today is somebody who is an actor, a singer, rapper, somebody who's a multi-hyphenate, who's been in several films or in programs that mean a lot to me personally as somebody invested in the culture. And I don't even know if that's intentional. We're going to ask. So he's been in Dope, which was a movie that's like the natural follow-up to The Wood. One of my favorite movies of all time. I really enjoyed Dope. He's been in The Get Down, which I want to talk about at some point briefly, and currently one of the lead actors in Wu-Tang, an American Saga on Hulu, playing none other than Raekon, one of the GOATs of the hip-hop game.
Ain't no checking. What you mean check with Steve? I'm telling you.
Right, I understand, but...
But, son, ain't no but. Ain't no but. It's my album.
Please put your hands together for Shameik Moore. How you doing, brother?
Hey, man, I'm blessed to be here. One step in front of the other, 1 foot at a time, you know?
Absolutely. So I was doing some research, and I did not know this. So you're from Atlanta.
Born and raised in Atlanta, family Jamaica. So I'm really Jamaican.
That works. Listen, you can never let the Jamaican part go. Like everybody I know, Jamaica, if they got like one great-great-grandparent who is Jamaican, that Jamaican thing is strong, right? You got to hold on to that.
It's like everybody's Jamaican. I'm the only one that's more than American, so.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So what part of Atlanta?
I'm from Latonia, so I'm from East Atlanta.
Atlanta's like Black Hollywood now, right? So what's your acting story? Did the Black Hollywood part of it kind of help like get you into the door, like being that, you know, you don't have to leave Atlanta the way that you used to in order to make it into music and acting and all that? Like, how did you get started in the acting game?
I was doing, you know, music videos first as a dancer, just kind of getting my foot in the door. I met, you know, working with Soulja Boy. I mean, as, you know, a dancer in his music videos, and same thing, Carrie Hilson, Lil Wayne, and those casting directors ended up getting hired for Cartoon Network to hire more dancers. You know, I saw myself on TV a few times, even though it was just like, you know, 5 seconds here, 5 seconds there, whatever. But I was young, so it was feeding. It was like little breadcrumbs leading to the full snack, you know. And eventually, we found out about an audition for Tyler Perry's House of Pain. That was my first acting audition, and I booked it. And then the second one that I went on was for Read Between the Lines. That was a BET show. That I booked that one. So my first 2 acting jobs I booked. And then, you know, eventually we booked Dope, and it kind of like paused things.
You go to high school in Inglewood. You think you're gonna get into Harvard?
I'm from a poor, crime-filled neighborhood, raised by a single mother, don't know my dad, blah, blah. It's cliche.
It was all about like how talented I could be, you know, how talented I was. You know, how good of an actor are you? How good of a singer are you? How good of a dancer are you? You know, how stylish can you get? And then after Dope, and I met, you know, Zoe, Flacco, Quincy, Diddy, Pharrell, Forrest Whitaker, and all these people, you know, I moved to New York, and it was like, you know, I was surrounded by the ASAP mob. It wasn't about how talented you were anymore. It was about how, like, where's your individuality? You know what I'm saying?
You know, just listening to how you even got to Dope, which is, you know, I would guess you probably consider your breakout role. Like I would. Like this is the first time I think you were on, like, everybody knew who that cast was. They knew who you were. It was an amazing movie. You know, I loved it. It got, you know, I remember seeing it. I remember writing about it. I remember talking to people about it. And it kind of like, to me, it was like a launch pad because it was such an interesting story, right? So let me not say it was a launch pad for you. I don't know how you view it, like you said, perspective, but like when I look at it, I was like,
absolutely,
that guy is going somewhere. Yeah. So I was like, this dude right here, like, you know, the way, the energy you had in it, the story itself was amazing. I love how they brought Stacey back from the wood. I stood up and clapped when I saw that, you know what I mean? Because it was such a monumental film. The Wood is one of those films I remember where I was when I saw it for the first time, because I think I was like 19 when that movie comes out, right?
What's the Wood? It's not what you think it is. Nah, it's Inglewood, California. That's where I grew up, me and my boys.
So tell me a bit about Dope. Like, what was that experience like? It introduced you to all these people, but, you know, this probably, I'm guessing, is like the biggest production that you're going to be a part of at that point, to that point. So what was that like?
I was auditioning for like Teen Wolf and a couple of other things, and Dope was like the last one on the list that we did that week. And when I say I was sending out like hundreds of auditions, I'm literally like yeah. So like the dude that was self-taping for me eventually stopped charging me because we were there. So I was there like 4 times a week. Like, you know, like it felt like every other day I was doing another audition. And anyway, so yeah, they ended up loving the tape and they called me to LA, and I just remember feeling different about it. Like, it felt like this, like, you know, ooh, the music is about to, like, I really got something. This before Bryson Tiller, this before, like, I had this, I'm telling you. And on the other hand, you know, Dope was coming and I did Incredible Crew, and it's like, you know, I just don't know, like, is it acting, is it music, do I have to choose? Like, I really feel like I got something. And then, anyway, I remember they were like, well, you got to fly yourself to LA. And that was one of the things I remember be like, I mean, do they really want me? So I went to LA, we made it happen, I got there. And again, my mind was really on, do I want to do this music or acting? Because even though I know I can do both, I know people like to put artists in boxes. I was just in my mind about that, and I went in for the chemistry read, and I saw a lot of people I knew, you know, and I bombed it. Like, it wasn't, I didn't do a good job, you know. I forgot the lines, and I just wasn't, I was shy, and all these other elements, and, you know, I left, and I just remember being like, oh, I mean, maybe that was my sign. And, you know, I just remember my mom, my dad, my agents, my manager, everybody was pissed because it was like, Shameik, you're not understanding. This is your opportunity. Rick Famuyiwa was the director of The Wood and Dope. Apparently, you know, was like, yo, like, bring him in, just me and him, you know. And so I went back the next day. I remember that night. I'm talking about they were on me. My family, they were like, you're not about to mess this up. Like, you know, like, I remember, like, I reread the script from the beginning to the end, like, I ran the lines. I stayed up all night, like, running the lines on the phone, and, like, you know, it was like that. Like, so anyway, I went in the next day. It was just me and Rick, and yeah, like, he put on the camera. He talked to me, and then we did it. And then he was like, see, this is what I needed you to do yesterday. You know, I know that you can do it. Now I need you to do it on my camera on Monday. You know, and that's like, Rick saw, he saw me underneath it all, you know, he saw me.
Right.
But me and Rick, it created this bond with me and Rick that was like, nah, you and me, you know what I'm saying? You got it. Anybody else talk to you? Whatever. If I got a problem, I'm gonna talk to you. You come here to impress me. We gonna do this together. And from there, like, he taught me how to be the leading man on set, you know, and that's all I can say. So what I learned from him, I've taken to the Get Down, I took to Wu-Tang, I took to Let It Snow, I took to Spider-Verse, and that it's a part of who I am today, you know. And I definitely give Rick all his flowers, and I think everybody that supports me or believes in what I'm capable of should too, you know.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, bro. Like, and you know, shouts out to Rick Famuyiwa. Absolutely. All right, we're gonna take a real quick break here. We're gonna come back. I want to talk a bit about Miles Morales and the Spider-Verse. We're gonna get to the Wu-Tang, because one of my favorite shows, bar none. Take a break here on Dear Culture. All right, we're back here on Dear Culture. I'm here with Shameik Moore. We're talking about his acting journey through his rise in Atlanta to getting into Dope, and you are also the voice of one of, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and say this, I think it's probably true, like one of the most iconic characters in the Marvel universe at this point, though I don't even understand the politics of all the Marvel and all this, but either way, you're the voice of Miles Morales for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I know the new one is coming out later this year.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Quick story, that's one of the most popular movies in my house. My children, I have 2 boys that are 8 and 6. And since the first time we watched that, they have run that joint at least once a week. So for years, I'm talking years at this point, we watch this once a week in my house. I love it. What's it like being the voice of like one of the few truly representational characters? Because Miles Morales he's Black and Puerto Rican. That film is like hip hopped out. We got the Air Force Ones. You can't go anywhere Halloween without seeing kids, black, white, or other, rocking Miles Morales versions of Spider-Man. Like what's it like being that, like having participated or being a part of something that's so, like that impacts culture so heavily?
I mean, I feel like there's, and it's not just with Spider-Verse. I think everything, Dope, Wu-Tang, the Get Down, Spider-Verse, it's all very culturally impactful, you know, projects. I think I was chosen for them I was chosen for them for a purpose, and I think that purpose has revealed itself over the span of these like last 2-3 years since COVID started. And you said it right. It's about impact, and it's about purposeful impact. And you know, there's a reason that my vessel is being used to portray Miles Morales, you know, Raekon the Chef, Malcolm Adekambi, Shaolin Fantastic, and the relatability that comes with these characters. You know, I think a lot of people, I think way more people know my face than they know my like Instagram handle or that follow me or whatever. Like the love in real life, you know, from the different characters, it's all meaningful to me, and it's all about what I do as Shameik Moore with it, you know. And I feel like I'm gonna show what that means to me, and that I take the responsibility very seriously. So it's an honor. I'm thankful. I'm excited, and I embrace all that comes with it. And I think about 100 years. I don't really think about 5 years, 10 years. I think about like, you know, my existence in general, and I want it to mean something for the generations to come. You know, impact is what it's all about.
Time for a quick break. Stay with us. And we're back. These roles that you have been a part of, like, you're right, they are impactful. Like, and I want, you know, we can even wrap this into like the Get Down. Like, I love that show. Like, I was so hurt when they canceled that. Now, maybe you more so than me, since it's a paycheck for you, but like, I loved what that show represented and how much time and effort and energy, because it looked like, I know it's like one of the most expensive productions ever, and it felt like it and it looked like, but it looked like the story was being done so well. So like, what's it like being these impactful characters? Like, do you know ahead of time like how important the roles you're stepping into are, or is it just like when you're doing it, you're like, yo, I think I got another one? Because you seem to be one of those people who every one of these, I got another one, like in terms of like the impact in the characters.
It's 1% me, and it's 99% like everything else. You know what I'm saying? I'm being used. Everything I'm involved in is gold. And it's because I'm me, and I'm speaking on it. I understand it. It might not be, it might not sound too humble, but the truth is that I'm only here for what I just said. I understand I feel I have a solid understanding of my purpose. You know, we see other projects that are really good and also, you know, representative of the culture or whatever, but, you know, could have had it could have been executed on a higher level, you know? And I feel like a lot of these things are who's directing it, who's acting in it, who wrote it, and how it was executed. I think the Get Down is what it is because of who was involved. I think Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, you know, is what it is because of who is involved. Same thing with Dope. I think it is what it is because of who was involved. And yeah, that's my opinion. So
fair enough. I respect that. All right, we're gonna take one more break here. We're gonna come back. I want to talk about the Wu-Tang. Ask some fun questions about this. So stay tuned right here on Dear Culture. All right, we're back here on Dear Culture with Shameik Moore, and we've been talking about his career and everything, but he's a part of one of the more, it's like entertaining, educational, informational, and it's kind of even made me revisit the way that I look at the Wu-Tang Clan, right? So I grew up in the 90s. Well, I grew up in the 80s, but like, you know, the 90s, that's my hip hop era, right? And true story, I wasn't a huge fan of the Wu-Tang Clan back then. I'm from down south. The sound was a little too dirty for me. Like, I just couldn't fully appreciate it, but I respected and understand everything they brought to the table. Riz is one of my favorite producers, all this other stuff. So you're part of Wu-Tang, an American Saga, and you're playing Raekon. All right, so for one, were you a Wu-Tang fan before you started working on this project?
I wasn't raised on, you know, hip hop. Let's start there. I was in an all-boys military school. I eventually was in Christian school. So skipping forward, I was introduced to hip hop like when I was 12 and I saw You Got Served. I saw the movie a little late, and yeah, I mean, those, you know, that introduced me to hip hop. That wasn't really gangster rap. That was like dance and graffiti and like love and etc. You know, it was so like that was my induction into hip hop. And hip hop to me is the lifestyle of it. You know, it's not just rap. You know, it's how you carry yourself, is what you eating, your slang, like who you hanging with, like the clothes you wear,
right?
You know, and how you express yourself. It's like hip hop is like the culture. So the gangster side of the culture I didn't really embrace because that's not, you know, I was a kid trying to be on TV and dance class and getting music videos and stuff. My interest wasn't in, you know, robbing and selling drugs and all that. Like, you know, surrounded by it for sure, but like, you know, also respected by my like young peers and stuff, because it's like I didn't really have to do all that. I was dancing in the hallways and dancing at the pep rallies and, you know, saucing up girls and like trying to get fly with 2 pairs of shoes I had and whatever. Like that was my energy. So it was about how talented I was at that time. It didn't get to individuality until I got to New York. You know, I had to look within when I got to New York and I was around other talented, fly guys that, you know, was even better with women, had even more swag, and like, you know, it showed me more of what I was capable of, just being around, you know, a whole different breed of, you know, young men. So at that point, you know, when you start talking about like Wu-Tang, you know, first it was Cutthroat City. You know, it was my first opportunity. Like the Get Down was like, okay, he's a bad boy, but he was more like theatrical. He was kind of yelling a little bit more. He was on his karate. You know, it's more more theatrical, you know, break dancer. You know, he was the first bad boy of hip hop, so he was selling drugs and like DJing or whatever. It's cool. It's like, boom. When I got to Cutthroat City, it was like, you know, we robbing casinos in order to survive in New Orleans after the Hurricane Katrina. And that movie, I think the best thing that came out of it was me and RZA's connection. Like we was just, you know, we saw what we could do. RZA came to me. I linked up with RZA in LA. He let me come to a Wu-Tang concert that was going on at one of those like spots in LA at the time. And I had met everybody. I didn't know who anybody was. And I remember listening to the Wu-Tang album before I met RZA, like on the flight and stuff. And I just remember thinking like, my favorite line in the first album was, get my rubbed all night. You know what I'm saying, about Ghostface. That was my favorite bar.
I want a lamp, I want to be in the shade, plus spotlight, getting my roll all night.
'cause
Ghost.
everything else was just like, I remember listening to the Torture and all that stuff first, and it just wasn't connecting with me. That's not my side of hip hop, you know? So as I was listening to the album to connect with the RZA, to understand his psyche, and like, okay, when I was working with Rick, I was able to understand his psyche and tap into Malcolm, etc. Like I said, I was applying that same thing to each project. So it's like, tap in with the director, like be on the same page with the director. Let's make magic. And we did that. He saw my, and anyway, the second time he linked up with me, like within those 2 weeks, he invited me to his son's birthday party. So they was at a club or whatever. I linked up with them. He looked at me. He was like, "Yo, who you want to play in the Wu-Tang joint?" I was like, "What you mean?" He was like, "Yeah, we got something. We got something. We working on. Who you want to play in Wu-Tang?" I was like, I don't even know. Gee, I have to do some research. He was like, all right. So in the moment, I was thinking like, why not just play you? But I didn't want to say that because it was like, I feel like it'd be so easy to play RZA. I just spend so much time with him.
Really?
So
Gotcha. Okay.
I didn't want to, like, yeah. And that was I didn't know enough about Wu-Tang to like be like I knew of Method Man, but like, RZA I found out right before I did Cutthroat City. So I'm like, well, who else is, I didn't want to just say RZA in the moment, I asked some friends about it. They was all like, yo, you gotta be ODB. ODB was that dude. Like, you gotta, oh baby, I like it raw. Like, it was like, that was the energy. It's like, you gotta play ODB or you shouldn't do it. You know what I'm saying? So that was, and I told RZA the next time I talked to him, OG was like, nah. OT was like, nah, it's not gonna be ODB. I was like, I guess just tell me who you want it to be, whatever. And then so he called me. I was in Atlanta. I'll never forget this. He called me. He was like, all right, so this is the real thing now. Like, are you thought about it? Like, who? I was like, OG, just I'm whoever you want me to be. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm on. Like, I'm signed up. I'm on board. Like, when it's real, like, hit the team about it, whatever. But like, you got me. You can tell whoever I'm on, And he was like, all right, bet, bunk, bunk. So I was the first person casted in Wu-Tang, and then as they started revealing more to the team and stuff, it was like it wasn't real. It was going to be a fictional version of Wu-Tang. So it was like they wasn't going to use their real names. They weren't going to necessarily be the real Wu-Tang members. It was just going to be inspired by real events. That was how it was originally formed, and it was going to be like a mini series, so just 6 episodes. So it was like, okay, cool. Like, they wasn't gonna make me cut my hair. They wasn't gonna make me da. I was like, okay, cool. I'm good. It's like, I'm working on this movie, that movie, and I got this with OG. I'm about to make it bank this year. That was the energy. And anyway, I still, like, even when I was met with Hulu and like sat down with them, nobody wanted to tell me anything because RZA didn't want me to know, or any of us to know who we was playing. So it was like, okay. And then it went all the way to the day we started to shoot and stuff. And then like and then I ended up finding out like Star Raider was, Raekwon, and it was inspired by Raekwon. And I was like, well, I should meet Raekwon. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a real person that's alive. Like, and if the show is going to become doing Raekwon, I'll just say I was adamant about it. And so it ended up happening because I was adamant about it. And OG respected that, and Raekwon, took time out of his, life and schedule to sit down with me, and I was in Canada filming Let It Snow. I think he had a store out in Canada or something like that, so he was doing something, handling his business. We met for dinner, and like from the second I saw him, I was like in studying mode, like, focused on the God details, the mannerisms, how he was walking, how he was talking, his energy, how I felt being around him, how it felt when he was listening to me, how it felt when he was talking, when he got excited about something, when he was like just eating, like when he was walking away and he didn't know I was still looking at him, like, you know what I'm saying? It was like that Like, that's what I was digesting and I took in. And that's like what I got from it. And in the first season, he let me, you know, I would call him before as many scenes as possible just to hear his voice and talk to him about, like, all right, this is what they said happened, but what really happened? What inspired these events? Like, what's your perspective? Like, you know, and for a while he was, you know, he was there. He was answering the phone for me, and you know what I mean? So it was nice. And then, you know, I think from season 2 on, it was just like, you know, I just let go and just let him use me. You know what I'm saying? I just let the energy go through me, and I did the best I could. And you know, I hope he feels represented. You know, did the best I can. Hopefully, it seems like everybody liked it. So.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like you're killing that role. I think everybody's doing a really good job. Like you're killing that role. And I actually think, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine about this yesterday. Like, you've gotten even better in that space as Raekwon. Like, we watch over, you know, I've seen all the seasons. I watched all the episodes. I'm always waiting on Wednesday night for it to drop at midnight. I watch it at midnight when it drops because, you know, as somebody who grew up in that era, that time is so like vital to who I consider myself to be as a person now, that like, it's like watching a time capsule. So I have to ask, like, what was it like when you all did that first, like the first performance at Fever in the Bronx, right? And y'all are going through like Protect Your Neck, Can It All Be So Simple, Method Man, like what was that energy like recreating that on stage? Because we felt it. Like, I literally stood up. I was standing up watching that. Like, I don't want to say never. It's been a while since I've been that hyped watching a scene of television. And it sent me right to the car to go listen to the entire end of the 36 album over again. Like, it's like I saw Wu-Tang for the first time watching you all create these performance scenes. So what was it like filming that? Like, what was it like being up on stage representing these folks and like bringing that energy and all? Like, what was that feel like? What was that like?
It's just another day on set for me, brother, to be honest with you.
I can respect that too. I mean, y'all nailed it, bro. Like the amount of the quality of all this. So I'm glad it was just another day on set for you. Like, that's how good you all are at y'all jobs at this point. Cause everybody I've talked to about those performance scenes in particular are like, yo, this has made me reappreciate the Wu. So let me just say, as somebody who watches the show and enjoys it, y'all are nailing it. It's great. Y'all done a great job with it. It's appreciated.
It's heartwarming to hear that. Yeah, OG's always like, yo, son, you need validation. Like, and he right, you know, but sometimes I, you know, I'm happy that the audience that is following the show, that is personally connected to, you know, their favorite characters or members in real life feel like, you know, we're doing the job and we're doing what we're supposed to do. So, you know, that's the real what the best part about it for me is like, all right, they like it. All right, they connected to it. Okay, so it was the performance scene. That's crazy because I know on like behind in real life, art imitates life. Like, you know, a lot of us were just butting heads, you know what I'm saying? That's the reality of it. So thinking back to that moment is like, for me, it really was just like, I'm all set to do what I came here to do. I'm pretty sure like half of us was in some sort of argument with the other half. We was all just, so it's like 9 alpha men, like, you know, so it's just, during that time, I just remember it being like, you know, a little chaos on set, you know, so yeah, but it was, you know, the art was speaking and it was solid. You know, I think we all grew to love each other and respect each other in different ways. And, you know, we spend 14, 15 hours with each other for 6 months of the year. It's like, you know, it's like y'all and they're best friends at this point, and you're not even like friends like that, but y'all like, you know what I'm saying, you're classmates or something.
Right.
It's like,
I'm with you, and I appreciate that. Yeah, it's great to know that art imitated life in some way. Like it translated, regardless of what was going on in the background, it translated in a way that I think made it so that people like myself and all the fans that I know were able to take from it what you guys were trying to give. And
the authenticity was there. It felt authentic to everybody, and that was because it was the same kind of energy that I think the Wu members have in real life. It's funny. I'll share a story real quick. Every time it always hit the ceiling, anytime it really hit the fan, it was when we was at dinner. Whenever OG called a dinner to get everybody in line, it always hit the fan. I mean, I think you have this interview with anybody else, RZA, or any other members of the Hulu Wu, it's like, it always hit the fan. And it's funny because at the start of this last season, the homie that played Master Killer, he was like, because they was coming at me about whatever, right? So bro was like, yeah, and in season 2, you was like, are you even in the group? He said something like that, and I was like, huh? Like, it just, and it was from the performance scene. We had walked past, because Master Killer wasn't on stage with us yet, but he was there behind the scenes, and we kind of walked past him after the performance at the Fever, and I guess I was like, you know what I'm saying, like, I said something about him not being in the group, just being in character or whatever, and it really offended him. So he had said it right there, and I think everybody at the table kind of like, because everybody know me. I'm not, if I said something, I said it. You feel what I'm saying? So right. I was just taken back, like, whoa. And then RZA was like, that's funny because we actually addressing this season. You know what I'm saying? That was a real thing with Chef and Master Killer. You know what I'm saying? So I say that to say art really imitates life. And even that scene that happened this season on the bus and stuff, it was like, it was fun to live in it because, and they cut a lot of that out. They cut a lot of it out because it was some good energy right there. Because, we got love. Like, we had a little shadow boxing moment or whatever. So it's like I said, the behind the scenes tit for tat definitely shows up on screen. And I think, when us as the cast members like get to look at the work, that's like the real love. That's when it really, like, when I look at TJ, I'm looking at like when I look at Sadiq, me and Sadiq used to butt heads a lot too. It was like he playing Ghostface, and obviously our characters were like, going at it. So it's like us looking at each other now in real life and on screen, it's like, yo, like, excuse me, this is really like, this is special. Like, we just love each other. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth of it. We definitely all grew to have a real special connection and relationship with one another. So I'm just thankful to be involved. I'm thankful for the growing process. I've become a better actor. I've become a better person. I've become a better team player. I think when I did Dope, it was about me coming to work and leading. You know what I'm saying? And I took that energy to every project, but on this project, like I said, I think everybody had something that they want. Everybody wanted to lead. You had the newer guys that wanted to get that respect. You had the solidified guys that was coming in like, yeah, this my show. And then you had our professional rapper that was like, man, I'm a real rapper. You know what I'm saying? His energy, and it created the dynamic that people love on screen. So it's like, RZA, shout out to the cast, the casting, shout out to the writers, shout out to the directors, the DPs, everybody that put up with us behind the scenes, the ADs, the PAs, you know what I'm saying? And they had the hardest job of all. And I'm happy it ended on a solid note. You know what I'm saying? I'm very thankful, and I can definitely say I grew from it. So
yeah. All right, we'll take our last break here. When we come back, we're going to talk Black fashions and Black accommodations and wrap this whole thing up with Shameik Moore. All right, we're here on Dear Culture with Shameik Moore. We've come to the end of the show, and we is my favorite segments where we have fun with our guests who give us a little more insight into them and things that they're interested in. So we do two things. We do our Black Fashion and our Black Commendation. But we got to start with the Black Fashion because it's the one that proves what we all like to say in the Black community, that we are not a monolith, right? We love saying that anytime something happens, like we are not all the same. So a Black Fashion is a confession, something about your Blackness, something people will be surprised to know about you because you're Black. Do you have a Black Fashion for us?
Truth is, I've never listened to Mobb Deep, not yet.
Really? You know, okay, I can understand that because again, if if the Wu-Tang was like new to you as well, like Mobb Deep, that's the same chamber right there. You know, to speak in the language of the Wu, right? It's the same chamber,
Right.
but okay, I have it. So, do you have any plans to check out Mobb Deep, like the infamous, the infamous album, one of the greatest hip hop albums?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think it's just the nature of it, nature of the beast. I have so much to learn, and I think I've been caught up in my bubble and doing what I got to do. I think I only know about Wu-Tang because it got into my bubble, so, or I only
Right.
appreciate Wu-Tang the way I do because it entered my like bubble. So, yeah, like I'm not proud of not knowing Mobb Deep. I know I was just asked this question in Atlanta with Big Tigger, and I didn't know Mobb Deep, so I've heard of Mobb Deep. I just don't know, and I probably heard their music before. I just don't know, So
Well, let me say this: if they ever make a Mobb Deep movie, you will be perfect as Havoc, like straight up. Like you will be the perfect Havoc. Like I mean that like from the heart. Like that, I genuinely believe that. Like the mannerisms, all 100%, 100%.
What?
All right. So what we also do after we do our Black Fashions is we ask people for a Black Commendation, which is a recommendation about something to buy for, about Blackness, something that, it could be something you personally working on, something you're into, reading, something that you would recommend other Black folks check out because it's about the culture and the community. You have a Black Commendation for us?
Because it's about the culture and community. I'm working on something that is all about the culture and the community and the impact. So I guess I could say my Black Commendation be to follow my journey on have some things up my sleeves that will change or evolve or add to the progression of the Black experience. This is my life's purpose project that will be revealed very, very soon. Yeah.
All right. Well, where can people follow your journey and everything you got going on so they can keep up with that and along with all the trailers and everything that you got going on so we can keep up with the journey of Shameik Moore?
For now, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, ShameikMoore.com, and like all of my, like every movie I ever do, any song I ever put out, any clothing line I ever collaborate with, or pieces I ever drop, merch, any tour I'm ever on, anything I do that you don't know I'm involved in and I'm just behind the scenes, it's all in service of my like life's purpose project that I'm really creating, and that's going to be my ultimate creation within my existence. And yeah, you'll follow it'll be in your face, so I'm just thankful, hey, if you see or hear that I'm involved with something, you can just, if you believe in me and you believe in my heart, just and what I like, it's all about impact, it's all about community, it's all about our culture, and I'm in service to it, and added to the, like I said, the progression of it. So just support when you hear, when you see Shameik Moore. Yeah.
All right, will do. Brother, thank you so much for your time and being here on Dear Culture. We appreciate your time, your work, your energy, the efforts that you make, the output. Like I said, almost everything that you've done so far is something that in my household gets burned. So I can appreciate you for creating art that resonates with me and my family and families everywhere, right? So thank you for that. And thank you to everybody for listening to Dear Culture. We appreciate you here. It's an original podcast of the GRIO Black Podcast Network, produced by Sasha Armstrong, edited by Jeff Trudeau, and Regina Griffin is our managing editor of podcasts. So my name is Panama Jackson. Have a black one.
I'm political scientist, author, and professor Dr. Christina Greer, and I'm host of The Blackest Questions on the GRIO's Black Podcast Network. This person invented ranch dressing around 1950. Who are they?
I have no idea.
This all began as an exclusive Black History trivia party at my home in Harlem with family and friends. And they got so popular, it seemed only right to share the fun with our GRIO listeners. Each week, we invite a familiar face on the podcast to play. What was the name of the person who was an enslaved chief cook for George Washington and later ran away to freedom? In 1868, this university was the first in the country to open a medical school that welcomed medical students of all races, genders, and social classes. What university was it?
This is why I like doing stuff with you, because I leave educated. I was not taught this in Alabama public schools.
Question number 3, you ready?
Yes. Let me try to redeem myself.
How did we go from Kwanzaa to these obscure...
sport, darling.
This is like the New York Times crossword from a Monday to a Saturday.
Right or wrong, because all we care about is the journey and having some fun while we do it.
I'm excited and also a little nervous.
Oh, listen, no need to be nervous. And as I tell all of my guests, this is an opportunity for us to educate ourselves, because Black history is American history. So we're just gonna have some fun. Listen, some people get 0 out of 5, some people get 5 out of 5. It doesn't matter. We're just gonna be on a little intellectual journey together.
LaToya Cantrell?
That's right, Mayor LaToya Cantrell.
Hercules Posey.
Born in 1754, and he was a member of the Mount Vernon slave community, widely admired for his culinary skills.
I'm going to guess Afro-punk.
Close. It's Afro Nation. So last year, according to my research, it's Samuel Wilson, aka Falcon.
Wrong. Wrong. I am disputing this.
I'm very, 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 very 99.9999 sure that it is Representative John Lewis, who is also from the state of Alabama. That lets you know, Christina, we got some goodness come out of Alabama.
There is something in the water in Alabama, and you are absolutely correct.
The harder they come.
Close.
Oh, wait. The harder they fall?
That's right. I'm one of those people that just changes one word.
I mean, I know the song too well.
I just don't know nothing today. I'm going to pour myself a little water while you tell me the answer.
The answer is Seneca Village, which began in 1825 with the purchase of land by a trustee of the AME Zion Church.
You know why games like this make me nervous? I don't know if I know enough black. Do I know enough? How black am I? Oh, my Lord, we gonna find out in public.
So give us a follow, subscribe, and join us on The Blackest Questions.